Okay, it being 5 p.m., the Lafourche Parish Council meeting of September 28, 2021 is hereby called to order. Ms. Corleen is going to be out tonight, so I will do roll call. Mr. Jerry Jones. Mr. William T. Adams is absent. Has anyone heard from T. Nope. Okay, Mr. Michael Groh. Here. Mr. Melvin. Here. Mr. Wendell. Here. Mr. Araby. Here. Ms. Chesson. Here. Mr. Lorraine. Here. Mr. Chesson. Okay, so with that said, we're only going to be missing one, which is T-Boo. Welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. Thank you for attending. With that said, if everyone could please rise, we'll be led an invocation by Councilman Melvin, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Wendell.
Lord, we just thank you for this meeting and pray as we recover from this storm, especially those less fortunate who got really hit. We just ask you to be with us through this recovery and help us to make good decisions, holy decisions.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So on a personal comment, I'm just glad to see everyone here after a month of not seeing everyone based on the storm that passed. So it's nice to see everyone here tonight. With that said, let's get to the people's business. Item A, approval of minutes. Number one, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the August 24, 2021 regular session. So moved by Councilman Groh, second by Councilman Jones. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence is being Councilman T-Boo. Item B, we have none. Item C, do we have any state and or federal legislative updates? None. Brings us to item D, proclamation. Number 2, Parish President Archie Chesson to present a proclamation proclaiming the month of October 2021 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Mr. Chesson, you have the floor, sir.
So we're trying to drag it down, Mr. Chairman. If you want to skip down a second, you can come back.
We'll wait a second.
Okay, so they're just saying they're going to email it to me because Ronnie's not here tonight. So give me about 10 minutes.
Hey. Yes. How many times I'm sure she's come to the rescue, especially for the sheriff.
Thank you, Major Brinkley. All right. So whereas domestic violence affects all communities regardless of age, race, gender, or social economic status, as victims suffer at the hands of spouse or partner, it affects their children, families, and entire communities. And whereas in the United States, 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million women and men. And whereas 1 in 15 children are exposed to domestic violence each year, and those that grow up in violent homes are often abused and neglected at a higher rate than the national average. And whereas it is important to understand that the impacts of natural disasters such as Hurricane Ida and pandemics such as COVID-19 has on domestic violence victims and their children who are caught in the storm. Victims experiencing domestic violence during post-disaster period may face unique barriers, including loss of access to safe housing, isolation from community, lack of resources available, and housing shortages that may restrict the victim's ability to leave violent relationships. And whereas in 2020, Lafourche Parish law enforcement agencies responded to 1,495 domestic violence-related calls, despite domestic violence being one of the most chronically underreported crimes. And whereas 615 protective orders were temporary restraining orders were issued in Lafourche Parish in 2020 to victims of domestic violence who are seeking protection from their perpetrator. And whereas Louisiana continuously ranks 5th or higher in the nation for for the highest homicide rates among female victims killed by male offenders and single offender incidents. And whereas it is important to recognize the compassion and dedication of the individuals who provide service to victims of domestic violence and work to increase public understanding as a significant problem. And now therefore be it resolved in recognition of the very important work done by the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office, the Haven Domestic and Sexual Violence Program, the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office, the Pack Place Supervised Visitation Exchange Center, in their efforts toward eliminating violence against women. I, Archie Chesson, Parish President of Lafourche Parish, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2021 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I urge all citizens to become involved in efforts to present and respond to domestic violence and recognize the impact of domestic violence in our community. Join me as we renew our commitment to support and protect the victims and eliminate domestic violence in all of its horrific forms in order to sustain a hope of a better life for victims and to foster safe homes and relationships for all.
Very good.
I don't have anything to give him, but I'll go give her his back.
Once complete, Renee, if any of y'all want to make a speech or make any comments, y'all welcome to. You just have to make sure the mic is on and remember to state your name and address for the record.
Pam Guidry, 710 Church Street, Lockport, Louisiana. I am the coordinator of the Pack Place Supervised Visitation Center, and on behalf of the Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney's Office, the Haven, which is our domestic violence program in our area, and the Pack Place, which provides services to domestic violence victims as well, we appreciate the proclamation. This is our 9th year coming to you all to ask to help us bring awareness to domestic violence, and we really appreciate it because every time it's a jump in to say, yes, we're there to support and to partner with you all. What I asked this year, we worked on the calendar several weeks before Ida came in, and now knowing that Ida's here, just like one of the proclamations said, this is a time that we hope to ask you all as you're coming, as we know that this parish is a great parish and we are going to survive. We're all going to come back together after Ida. But I do ask that as you're looking at post Ida recovery, coming together and realizing the voices of victims who are out there and the obstacles that they face too. So when there's time to sit down to review what worked, what didn't work, making sure that those voices are at the table to ensure that their safety in the future for domestic violence victims when disasters like this happen. But again, we thank you so much for helping us to bring awareness to domestic violence, and we look forward to having your support in future years. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Guidry. Okay, brings us to item E, certificates of recognition. Item 3, Parish President Archie Chasson to present certificates of recognition to the participants of the calendar contest for the Bayou Council. Mr. President, you got the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So because of the issues with kids in schools, we're going to defer this to the next meeting.
So defer to date. Do you have, anyone have the date? Defer to October 12th. Thank you, Mr. President. Item F, presentations and/or updates. Number 4, Parish President to recognize Lafourche Parish Government Employee of the Month and/or WOW employees for the month of August. Mr. President, you got the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We don't have anybody in particular, but what I want to do at this particular moment is give a huge thank you and appreciation to all of our employees who worked both in the immediate aftermath of the storm, including 7 o'clock on that Monday morning as winds were starting to subside and guys were getting out, clearing streets, cutting trees, trying to assess pump stations and get water moving, and everybody who's been here since, from the girls who have worked the phone, or the ladies who have worked the phone bank, to everybody who's pitched in a hand, whether it was scrubbing floors or cleaning toilets to doing stuff out in the field. So on behalf of me and the administration, I just want to thank every parish employee who busted their butts for us the last 4 weeks in the aftermath of Hurricane Ida. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Well said. Thank you. Item 5, Ms. Hollins did call and leave a message that she would be unable to attend. So I won't defer it. I'm just going to pull it, and then if she's able to get here on the next meeting, we'll go ahead and get her at it. Item G, Legal Advisor Report. I don't think we have any. Item H, Engineers and/or Architect Reports. Any reports tonight? Head shaking no. All right, we'll move it to item I, Public wishing to address the council, public hearings, agenda items, etc. I don't think we got any blue forms submitted. Which brings us to item J, Board of Review, public hearing at 6 p.m. My understanding is we're going to be pulling that. We're not going to be doing the public hearing. Is that right?
I have some.
So we can recognize you now. I'll let you take the mic at this time because as my understanding is this part will be pulled. we won't be going back on the agenda back to 6 PM.
Okay.
Thank you. So just so everyone knows, at 6 PM, we were going to have a public hearing. As council serving as the Board of Review, we were going to hear public comments and protest values for property for assessment purposes by Lafourche Parish Assessor's Office. So I think our assessor, Ms. Wendy, is going to explain to us what's going on with that.
Yes. My name is Wendy Thibodeau. My address is 403 St. Louis Street in Thibodeau. You have two copies of, you have a copy of two different laws. In 47-1992, paragraph F, it states that the assessor must open the books for public inspection for a period of 15 days. My office advertised, and the books were open from August 16th through September 3rd. Due to Hurricane Ida, I did not fulfill this obligation. Therefore, the Board of Review is null and void. That's why you're not hearing any protests tonight. With that being said, the second law in RS 47-1978.1, these are the laws that were implemented after Katrina. So now, what was in 47-1992 now switches over to 1978.1. These are the laws that I have to follow as far as reassessing the entire parish. All of these laws, like the publications and the Board of Review and the appeal process, all of that is going to take place. But right now, I have to start all the way over, and I have to revalue all of the property that had any devastation or any destruction throughout the parish. That includes real property, structures, and it includes personal property. If you see in paragraph 2, that allows me to file for an extension with the Louisiana Tax Commission, and it gives me 6 months after the due date. The due date is November 15th, therefore the due date, now the extension will go all the way till May 15th. So literally I have until May 15th to file my 2021 tax roll. I am not anticipating that. I am anticipating to file it sometime in the first quarter of 2022. The reason why I have to file to reassess in paragraph B1, it states that if the tax roll was not certified by the Board of Review, then I have to go back and redo and revalue the whole tax roll and start the whole process over. That's where we were, because I was supposed to do that tonight. Since that didn't take place, I have to go back and account for all of the devastation and destruction throughout the parish. So that's what I'll be doing until I'm finished, and I'm anticipating sometime in March, February or March to finish. It says in paragraph 2 that if I would have went to the Board of Review, then I would have had to, but not certified the roll, then I would have had to do a supplemental tax roll. That's irrelevant. And then the third one is if I would have had the tax roll certified in a hurricane, any kind of disaster hit, then I would have had to do by change order. And I'm just explaining that so that y'all understand why I'm doing the procedure that I'm doing, is because we fell under paragraph B1. If you look at paragraph C, that also says, even though I'm revaluing all of the property in a typical reassessment, if the values decrease, that the millage rate automatically increases. If you look in paragraph C, it specifically says that the assessments cannot result, the millage rates cannot result in an adjustment due to the decrease that I'll be applying to the property assessments. So, to kind of give you what we're doing right now, all of the aerial imagery is being downloaded, and that's going to be kind of my foundation of what I'm going to do to start the revaluation process. It's not going to affect real property, meaning it's not going to affect land. I'm not changing any of the land. It's going to be all structures and all personal property that were affected by this storm. It is going to take me quite some time, and I just ask for everyone's patience. And if you have any questions, please, feel free to email me or call my office. That we are on top of it. We are trying to make it as least burdensome on the public as possible. They have enough to contend with. I do not want to be something else that they have to contend with. So preliminarily, we are going to go down, out to the people once we get a foundation established, and we will be meeting with the people if that is necessary. I have to send out new valuation letters. It's the whole, I got to do everything over. So once this is over with, everybody will get a valuation notice, an estimate of taxes, and then from that process, they can contact my office if they have more damage and so forth, and apply for additional obsolescence at that time. Once that's over with, then we'll have the open book period, and then they'll be able to appeal their assessments, and then we'll come in front of you at that time, and then I'll get the roll certified. That's just kind of a brief timeline.
Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, you said a lot. So, right there, so you're just talking about stuff damaged, right?
It's over 50,000 structures and personal properties.
So, don't you have a service that y'all use to look at areas, like when you do it regularly? So how are y'all going to go out and
They
see?
went out 48 hours after the storm, and they took aerial pictures of all of the damage.
So that's before blue roofs and stuff like that. So you,
I mean, some of them, towards the end, they didn't do it all in one day. I mean, it took them like 2 weeks. So there are going to be some photographs with blue roofs and so forth. But, I mean, the imagery, you're going to be able to see on my website, you'll be able to go and look at the 2020 flyover, and then you'll be able to look at the 2021 IDA.
and it could tell if a trailer's going or something. You'd be able to.
If what's going?
Like if a house or a trailer or something like
Yeah,
that.
I'll be able to tell.
It's totally going at the.
They literally have a report that I'll be able to run for properties that had a structure and no longer have a structure. I'll have a report on those. The ones that I gotta go into is the ones that had roof damage, but the property's still there. Or, the carport flew off, or, stuff like that. That's the ones I'm gonna have to go by.
Okay. And if they don't catch them, they'll be, something's missing, that didn't show up on a report, they'll be able to go to your office and things, so they'll know.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break it up into areas of the parish, because not everybody sustained the same damage. So to be fair to everybody, I am going to do it kind of like reassessment in neighborhoods, and kind of start with the foundation there. And then from that point, if they get the notice, or if I'm gonna have to get on the ground and literally drive through neighborhoods and so forth to kind of get a better eye on it, which I intend on doing. And then if I see that there's more damage that I didn't get from aerial photography, then it'll be applied to that. If at that point, when they get their notices, and I miss something, or they had more damage than what I'm giving off, they will be able to come into my office and prove that they sustained more damage, and I have to take it off.
I guess how does one get a notice if they don't have a mailbox anymore? Or a house?
I want to be honest with you. I've been in contact with assessors in Florida, in St. Bernard, in Cameron, in Calcasieu, in Livingston, in East Baton Rouge. All of these assessors have been affected. So I'm not winging this. I've taken all of what they have done and how they achieved this, and I'm tweaking it to where it works for Lafourche, because we are very unique in our geographical layout. So there are ways to get in touch with people with their notices. And this is it. If they come to me later when they get their tax bill, I can still do it by change order.
And there's no assessment of properties that had no damage. This does not involve anything with those properties maybe gaining in value at this point?
No, that will be assessed in 2022, because I'm going to be realistic with y'all. This isn't going to be a 365-day fix. It's going to run into a couple of years that I'm going to have to reassess properties.
Okay.
Just statistically from the other parishes, just to keep up, but they are going to have areas of this parish that more than likely will increase in value next year, just from the migration of the devastation. So that will be accounted for in 2022, along with the land. Because the land, I can't depreciate land because I have nothing to base it on.
Daniel?
So what happens to a house that's paying taxes and it's gone?
I take it off the roll.
You take it off the roll. Now, what happens to a house that's, I seen one today, in fact, I was shocked in Golden Meadow that probably had a lot of, he didn't look like he had a lot of damage, but it was completely bulldozed, pushed to the road. So that, what happens there, same thing?
Same thing.
Okay.
If the house is gone, the trailer, anything like that, even personal property, this is going beyond just houses. This is businesses too. I have to reassess all of Port Fouchon. No, I'm saying because that's going to be a huge undertaking, just that.
From the floodgates to Leeville, probably had 20, 25 houses the most. I think they got 3 left.
Yes. So all of those will be removed, the camps in Point Fouchon and so forth, all of that is going to be accounted for. And it's just going to be time consuming because I want to do right by the people. I do. And I don't want to rush this. It's not fair.
Very good.
One more
Go ahead,
question.
Dan.
Like,
Go ahead.
I know some people have these big, nice houses and they had roof damage, but they had a lot of water damage. So that's going to be?
All of that is accounted for. Like, if they have roof damage, I mean, I can't see. I'm not going to be able to see. Even if I drive by, I'm not going to be able to see. To be honest with you, I look at garbage.
So they would
when I'm
have to
driving
report,
down, I look at the
they would have
debris.
to report that to you?
Yes, they will have an opportunity. What I'm going to do
Okay.
is go down to those
'Cause-
areas and set up maybe town hall meetings or something to where the people won't have to drive to Thibodeau to go do it, that I'll be there and they, trying to get
'Cause
one stop.
I left my house to go in a $500,000 house, and I should have stayed in my house,
Yeah.
my old 80-year-old house.
It's going to be a
They're good.
percentage. It's not going to be a dollar for dollar
Right. Right, I
damage,
understand.
but it's going to be more of a percentage of the damage to the percentage of the assessment.
Because a lot of them that I know in these areas that have damage, probably going to cost more to fix it now than what they paid for the house.
Yes. And that's why I can't do a dollar for dollar, because their value is not, it's not a replacement cost new. I do replacement cost new minus depreciation. So that depreciation is represented in their assessed value. When they go on the insurance, if they had replacement cost new, they're going to get that money, and when they rebuild their house, it's going to cost that much. I can't do a dollar for dollar. It's going to be more of a percentage of damage to what the house was valued at to what the assessment is.
Thank you.
Terry has put it, go ahead, Terry, you got the floor.
Whitney, you think it might be a good idea, maybe people video some of it or take pictures of some of that stuff so that in case they do have questions for you, that they can have backup?
Yeah, it's, when you get into pictures and videos, it's a little bit more difficult because unfortunately there are people in the past that have taken pictures of properties that they don't own. With a situation like this, in the past when we had Gustav, Isaac, Lily, all of them, when they came in, they usually have either insurance or they have FEMA. Now, it's okay if they don't. I will be willing to go out there and look at their properties, but those are very few and far between because all of that's going to be accounted for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. All right, go ahead, Parish President.
So I have a question for Wendy, and then I'll let you guys. So when we met last week, we talked about having to redo the millage process.
Oh, yeah.
Did we ever get any good answers on if we
Yeah.
have to redo that?
Renita, I did speak to the legislative auditor. Thank you for reminding me. I did speak to the legislative auditor, and you do not have to levy the millages again. You do not have to have a meeting to levy the millages again. But if you choose to levy a different amount, then you do have to go through the whole process of advertising and meeting and have a hearing. For instance, my office, I am going to hold another millage meeting, and I'm levying 0 mills for my office for 2021. So that that's just my little contribution that I'm going to live off my surplus and help the people while they rebuild. So that's something to think about. Even if you wanted to roll forward, they said, but you have to go through the whole roll forward process. So, but you do not have to do your millage meetings again, that they are accounted for.
Okay, very good. We thank you for that, Wendy.
Okay?
So with that said, item,
gotta
voter
close.
review is hereby pulled, 6 is pulled. So now we'll jump right into item K, public hearing and ordinances for ratification. I'll now entertain a motion to open public hearing. So moved by Mr. Wendell, second by Mr. Grow. All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Tebow. I'll now read a statement that we plugged in onto the agenda. With the cancellation of the September 14, 2021 Lafourche Parish Council meeting due to Hurricane Ida, the public hearing for the following ordinances was republished on September 21st, 2021 to comply with Article 5, Ordinances, Resolutions, and Motions, Section 2, Enactment of an Ordinance, Item E, Public Hearings, Number 1, General Hearings of Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. So basically, we had to republish to meet the mandates. Item 7, ordinance, amending ordinance number.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, very good. So that
Yeah,
one's pulled.
yeah.
Item 7 is pulled.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
We got the survey from the Sheriff Department, and Waverly Road did qualify for a speed bump, so I need to give it to the Parish President.
Thank you, Mr.
Can I
Jones.
ask him a question?
Appreciate. Yeah, go ahead, Daniel, on item 7.
Did you check with Mayor Alvin Knockout, I believe that guy's name is?
Yes, I did.
Good.
He called me also. Good deal, Mr. Jones. All right, item 8, ordinance providing for a 2021 supplemental appropriation 21-027 within the 2021 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget to increase the budget for fuel costs and for the fuel tanks project 21018 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter, moved by Councilman Jones for the administration. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Wendell. Would anyone from the public like to comment on item 8? 1 time, 2 time, last call for public on item 8. Anyone from the council like to discuss this item? There being none, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Tebow. Item 9, ordinance providing for a 2021 supplemental appropriation 21-028 within the 2021 operations and maintenance budget with the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery fund signed under the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter, moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Would anyone from the public like to comment on item 9? 1 time, 2 time, last call for item 9 for public. Would anyone from the council? Mr. President, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is actually the $9.41 million we've been talking about. This is actually to book the money in the accounts.
Very good. No further discussion. We'll move item 9 to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Tebow Adams. Item 10, ordinance providing for a 2021 supplemental appropriation 21-029 within the 2021 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget for the COLA awarding for Head Start employees and for the purchase of ViewSonic boards, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter, moved by Ms. Chesson for the administration. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Melvin. Anyone from the public like to comment on item 10? 1 time, 2 time, last call for public on item 10. Anyone from the council like to discuss item 10? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Tebow Adams. Item 11, ordinance approving an act of donation between Lafourche Parish Government and Lafourche Parish School Board for the donation of 3 640-square-foot portable buildings, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said donation and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Ms. Chesson for the administration, second by Mr. Araby. Would anyone from the public like to comment on item 11? 1 time, 2 time, last call for anyone from the public wanting to comment on item 11. Anyone from the council? Ms. Chesson.
These buildings still exist?
So I literally just turned to Mitch and said, have we gone look at them since the storm? And we haven't. So the premise is that we would take the 2 buildings from behind the old Raceland Miller School and move them to the Thibodeau campus. They look good. Thank you, Terry. But we'll get with Jared once this is approved and go open them and make sure nothing really bad happened to them.
Very good. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman T-Boo Adams. I'll now entertain a motion to close public hearing. So moved by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Wendell. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman T-Boo Adams. Item L, proposed ordinances. Mr. Wendell, you have the floor, sir.
Item number 12, proposed ordinance to block vehicles 15 feet behind the commercial fishing dock wharf with steel posts placed across the road 3 to 4 feet apart at the Golden Meadow Boat Launch by Mr. Lorraine. Item 13, proposed ordinance providing for a 2021 supplemental appropriation 21-030 within the 2021 operations and maintenance budget, increasing the community service block grant fiscal year 2020 funds by $2,687 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, administer said transactions as provided by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter by Mr. Jones on behalf of administration. Item 14, proposed ordinance providing for a 2021 supplemental appropriation 21-031 within the 2021 capital outlay budget for the Central Lafourche Drive project and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter by Mr. Araby on behalf of administration. Item 15, proposed ordinance providing for a 2021 supplemental appropriation 21-032 within the 2021 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget to deobligate West 199th Street, 21006 and West 184th Street, 21007, and add these streets as part of the priority road list for road service, excuse me, for Rstd 2 PT 002 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter by Mr. Lorraine on behalf of administration. Item number 16, proposed ordinance providing for a 2021 supplemental appropriation 21-033 within the 2021 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget to purchase emergency pumps for all the Foosh Parish pump stations and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided by Article 6 of the Foosh Parish Home Rule Charter by Mr. Jones on behalf of administration. Item 17, proposed ordinance providing for a 2021 supplemental appropriation 21-034 within the 2021 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget to set the budget to replace water lines on North Willow Street, Lockport, Louisiana, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided by Article 6 of the Foosh Parish Home Rule Charter by Mr. Otown on behalf of administration. Item number 18, proposed ordinance providing for a 2021 supplemental appropriation 21-035 within the 2021 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget for the 2021 revenue bonds for RSTA-A and RSTD-2 and the bond debt payments and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter by Mr. Jones on behalf of administration. Item 19, proposed ordinance providing for a 2021 supplemental appropriation 21-036 within the 2021 operations and maintenance budget to cover the cost for demolitions and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided by Article 6 of the Foosh Parish Home Rule Charter by Mr. Jones on behalf of administration. Item number 20, proposed ordinance providing for a 2021 supplemental appropriation 21-037 within the 2021 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget to cover the additional cost for the Cyprian Pump Rehab Project and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter by Mr. Melvin on behalf of administration. Item 21, proposed ordinance providing for a 2021 supplemental appropriation 21-038 within the 2021 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget to increase the budget for various Head Start awards and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter by Ms. Chasson on behalf of administration.
I'll just point out, I think he had said 21-03, 21-038. You good, Jim?
All right. Item number 22, proposed ordinance providing for Civic Source to publicly advertise and auction the adjudicated property located at 240 Treasure Drive, Raceland, Louisiana, 70394, assessment number 0031259-423 due to non-payment of ad valorem property taxes, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relative documents by Mr. Araby on behalf of administration. Item number 23, proposed ordinance providing a variance for the Lafourche Parish Subdivision Regulations, Chapter 22, Section 22-215, effective period of preliminary plat approval A and B, to comply with the rules and regulations effective in 2016, to waive the expiration of previous approvals, to allow the existing construction to remain with the drainage improvements proposed herein, and to be constructed due to litigation in the proposed Milltown Subdivision Phase C as recommended by the Lafourche Parish Planning Commission at their August 26, 2021 meeting by Mr. Grow on behalf of administration.
Thank you very much, Jim. Item M, resolutions. Number 24, resolution requesting Louisiana Department of Transportation Development, LADOTD, to check out the artesian well on the shoulder of LA1 on the Bayou side across from West 171st Street and West 172nd Street due to the overflow of water from the shoulder staying on LA1 from the artesian well. This will be moved by Councilman Lorraine, second by Councilwoman Chesson. Any discussion? Mr. Lorraine.
Yes, this is a well that's been going on for a long time, but it's getting worse and the water's staying on the highway. So the state always tells us when there's water on the highway, they're going to address it. So they need to get down there and address it.
Very good. No further discussion. We'll move this one to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman T-Boo Adams. Item 25, resolution reappointing 1 member to the Lafourche Parish Tourist Commission Board representing the Lafourche Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Wendell will move on behalf of the administration. Who you got, Mr. Wendell?
Be Mr. Jeremy Punch.
Mr. Jeremy Punch. Any discussion? Second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion on Mr. Punch? There be none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman T-Boo Adams. Item 26, resolution reappointing 1 commissioner to the Veterans Memorial District, Ward 10 of the Parish of the Foosh Board. Mr. Lorraine for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Lorraine? Mr. Marlboro. Can I get a second for Mr. Marlboro? Second by Mr. Grow. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman T-Boo Adams. Item 27, resolution appointing 1 commissioner to the Lafourche Parish Juvenile Justice Commission Board, representing Lafourche Parish School Board. Mr. Melvin for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Melvin?
Lieutenant Colonel Authorizing.
Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Araby. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman T-Boo Adams. Item 28, resolution approving a lighting agreement between the Louisiana Department of Transportation Development and Lafourche Parish Government for the project titled LA1, Leeville to Golden Meadow Phase 2, State Project Number H.008145, and authorizing the Parish President to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Lorraine for the administration, second by Ms. Chesson. Any discussion? Mr. President.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is what I'll call the last phase, the last 8.7 miles of LA1 that they're getting ready to go out to bid with. This will be for us to take over the lighting like we have on all the other components after it's complete.
Very good. Mr. Lorraine.
Yes. So the state is going to put them up and we take over.
Yes, sir.
The last hurricane, we had a storm on the previous lights. I don't know where they at, what kind of shape they're in now on the Leeville Bridge further. Are those still there or not?
You know, Mr. President, you want to answer?
I don't know.
I didn't get to go down there.
Yeah, I had Gazette. We've had Gazette running sideways, but I can check with them tomorrow and let you know.
Because
I would, based on everything else down there, I would highly doubt it. But
we were trying to get them up. They put some new poles, and I think the old poles that we gave away, well, still got some left.
They wouldn't have let
those
us.
Were better than the ones they put, because those disappeared. So I'm assuming they're pretty much gone. So we need to address that also, because that's a safety issue. Whenever. And I think the federal government's involved with that. I'm not sure. So you know what? When you get the federal government involved, you better have a lot of patience.
True.
That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. No further discussion. We'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman T-Boo Adams. Item 36, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between Lafourche Parish Council, Office of Community Action, and Kennedy Funeral Home LLC for the purpose of providing. Oh, thank y'all. Hold on, let me jump to the other one. All right, let me check this other one. Yeah, it's right here. I'm good. Got it. Thank you. All right. I digress. Item 29, resolution approving an interagency agreement between Lafourche Parish School Board and Lafourche Parish Government for the donation of 3 640 square foot portable buildings and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Ms. Chesson for the administration, second by Mr. Araby. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman T-Boo Adams. Item 30, resolution approving amendment number 1 to the cooperative endeavor agreement between the Foosh Parish Government and the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Araby on behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Groh. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman T-Boo Adams. Item 31, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Melvin on behalf of the administration, second by Ms. Chesson. Any discussion? Mr. Lorraine.
Just about every year I bring this up, and it doesn't do any good. If you look at this, they come to Lafourche on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays in the house in Thibodaux. And then they're housed in Matthews on Wednesdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm sorry. So South Lafourche gets nothing. We have the best, beautiful monument probably in the whole state. Have a place to house them, and we always get left out. And we probably have more veterans, or a lot of veterans, like everybody else. So why should we have to drive when they can't come spend one day? Can you work on that, aren't you? Just one day?
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Mr. Chesson.
So I anticipated that question, Mr. Lorraine. And if you guys read the email summary, it went out late, but we ask every year. And I don't know if it's because they don't get enough of the South, they don't get enough of the South Lafourche people who are driving up here to warrant going down. I don't know what the reason is, but we've asked the last 2 years. Well, and we don't get an answer.
I'm gonna take a guess what the reason is. They don't want to go down the bayou.
Probably.
Yeah, it
but
could be
we'll keep working on it.
Could be a government building, but versus government taking that up, the veterans down there should take it up with them because that's good. They'll have a stronger voice than we will. I bet. If they can organize,
they should take it up with them, sure. But we always got to vote to give them the green light, and we get left out. We're always left out. And we got over 5,000 names on that monument. One time they told me, Griffin Lane in Golden Meadow, they had about 40 guys that went to service that lived down that street.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
I would suggest 2 things, Daniel. One, if we'll put it in an email again, like we already did. If the Veterans District would pass a resolution or send a letter on behalf of the district, we'll send that up to the Louisiana VA. But even, I know they still run the vans. If the vans want to run up here, if they got enough of them that want to come on a day, let Big John drive them up here. And that may be a help too. So they don't have to try to drive themselves. They can utilize the van service that the Veterans District already provides.
Right, I understand that.
But we'll keep working on getting them down there. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to find an avenue for them to.
The principle of it.
Oh, I completely agree with you.
Hell, we part of the parish too. Okay.
Mr. Groh.
Yeah, it's not really a question, just more of a statement. I should have said on the last one, but it's tied with this one. Since they moved from the Annex to veterans now, are we going to do some kind of promote? I don't know how busy that office is, but are we going to put something out on our marketing just to make sure, just as an extra avenue to let people know?
Yeah, so we will. They haven't come back since the storm, so I'm not exactly sure at what point they're going to move to veterans. I guess whenever they decide to start opening back up the state offices. But we're going to do some email blasts and some Facebook stuff with them so they know.
Very good. With that said, we'll move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman T-Boo Adams. Item 32, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Lafourche Parish Council, Office of Community Action, and Smart Funeral Home for the purpose of providing funeral assistance, CARES Act, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So all of these that you're going to see for the funeral homes are based on the CARES Act funding that we got due to COVID. So if it's a COVID-related death, we started out with one funeral home, and then over the course of the last couple of months, it's kind of expanded. As more people found out about the program, especially the low to mod income people who come through community action, we've expanded it. So that's why you see we opened it up to all funeral homes in the parish that wanted to take part. So these are the ones that agreed to be part of the system.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Lorraine.
I think it's great to expand it, but doesn't the Community Action Board meet tomorrow night?
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
And is this on the agenda?
On for discussion, to let them know.
So why are we voting on this before them?
Because you voted on August 10th, Resolution 21-220 gave the parish president, this council gave the parish president authority to move on these such items.
Because
And you voted for it.
yes, yeah, I'm not, the only thing I'm concerned about, they're meeting tomorrow night and we voting on this tonight, so they don't have to meet.
They do. They got some other things that need to be discussed, Daniel, more important
Why?
things than this. But just to open up your eyes and see, we did 6 funerals because of August 10th, hold it, because of August 10th resolution, we was able to do 6 funerals that people that couldn't afford to bury their family member. We did 8 generators, 8 air conditions. We fed over 2,000 people through the CARES Act money, and this money is going to run out September 30th. And when is September 30th, Daniel? Thursday.
No, I'm not against it. I'm just trying to say, why we got an advisory board if we always do things before they meet? That's the only part I'm saying.
We got an advisory board to do the CSBG budget, to approve the budget, the director. Other parts of this has already been approved through the advisory board. It's just a matter of fact that we need to bring it to their attention that we're adding these funeral home or funeral parlors to the one that exists already.
Right, I understand, but I just feel we always jump the gun.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Thank you for the explanation, Mr. Jones. Well said. No further discussion. Move it to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman T-Boo Adams. Item 33, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Lafourche Parish Council, Office of Community Action, and Landry's Funeral Home Incorporated for the purpose of providing funeral assistance, CARES Act, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman T-Boo Adams. Item 34, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Lafourche Parish Council, Office of Community Action, and Thibodeau Funeral Home Incorporated for the purpose of providing funeral assistance, CARES Act, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Adams. Item 35, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Foosh Parish Council, Office of Community Action, and Kennedy Funeral Home LLC for the purpose of providing funeral assistance, CARES Act, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Adams. Item 36, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Lafourche Parish Council, Office of Community Action, and Kennedy Funeral Home LLC for the purpose of providing funeral assistance fiscal year 2021 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Jones for the administration, second by Mr. Wendell. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Adams. Item 37, Resolution approving agreement between the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, GOSEP, and Lafourche Parish government relating to public assistance funding for Hurricane Ida disaster declaration, FEMA-DR-4611-LA, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Moved by Mr. Arabi on behalf of the administration, second by Ms. Chesson. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Adams. Item 38, resolution approving an agreement between GFP Architectural Interior Design and Lafourche Parish Government for architectural professional services for the Matthews Government Complex and Sheriff's Office Building, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Wendell will move on behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Groh. Any discussion? The only discussion I had, Mitch, I know we discussed about whether we would include this about the coroner's office. Can you make a statement with respect to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we did speak a little bit on that topic, but we will have a remediation team going in there so we can get the mold abatement taken care of, and we do have some funds in the capital budget to address the construction and reconstruction of that facility. Of course, we'll make that a priority. That way we can get the coroner's office taken care of, and I know Councilman Arabi has also asked about that as well. So that is one of the things that we're going to work on, that we've got a valid facility to work out of.
Thank you. We appreciate the commitment to putting it on the fast track. Mr. Arabi.
You got a time frame when that crew's going in there to start cleaning up?
Mitch?
I'm hoping to have them in there this week.
Good deal. Thank you, Mitch.
So it's bad. It's real bad in there, so.
Yeah.
And we got employees working in there, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arabi. With that said, item 38, we will move it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, that absence being Councilman Adams. Item 39, resolution approving agreement between the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, Department of Homeland Security, DHS, and Lafourche Parish Government for the use of property located on Recreation Drive in Raceland, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Wendell will move on behalf of the administration. Can I get a second? Second by Councilwoman Chesson. Mr. President, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've gotten a bunch of calls, and I know I've talked to you as they've seen trailers move in. This is not a housing camp for residents. This is a base camp for FEMA employees. We're expecting 200 to 300 FEMA employees to move in here very shortly once they get everything set up. Those people will fan out across Lafourche, Terrebonne, and St. Charles and work the DSA centers and the DRC centers, one of which I think you guys approve in the next item that's right behind us in the training room. To help residents get registered and deal with the appeal processes and anything that comes after that as they work through their FEMA funding. So it's a FEMA-based camp. It's not a true housing development.
Thank you for addressing that issue, because I knew it was going to come up. Terry.
Yes, Mr. President, you're not the only one that got a few calls on that. I'm glad you brought it up and kind of gave a little description about it. And if you don't mind, put something out, please, because a lot of people are very concerned. I've been trying to tell the people as much as I can about making it a FEMA camp for the employees and things. So,
yeah.
But I did get a bunch of calls too.
And we've begun some conversations. We're not sure exactly how many extra rooms they're going to be, depending on how many people FEMA sends down. So we've talked about using it as a first responder lodging. So if any of your fire department guys need a place to live, sheriff's office, EMS personnel, there may be some other people living in there, but it won't be for the average Joe. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But we did. It happened really quick. They were looking for a place to come. Lacey was out of town due to a death in her family, so we just kind of commandeered the soccer field. We flew it before. FEMA is responsible as part of this agreement to fix anything they screw up, which is probably going to be a little bit. We'll probably have to rework that soccer field they're on, but they're going to have to cover that cost of that after they're done. I've also talked to Lacey. We've gotten some calls about what do they do about soccer and football. I think that there's some other fields on there they could possibly use on the other side of the facility. Terry, you're going to know more of that about than anybody. But we've also told them that I don't think I have the ability to cancel soccer or football, right? If they want to go play at other parks or other places, they can. I'm not going to cancel recreation for the kids, so they have something to do, but we'll work around parking and stuff like that to let them play on any other fields that they can use.
Very good. Mr. Arabi.
I got a call today, Mr. President, from one of the board members, and they were wondering if there's any kind of way they can maybe level some of that dirt off at the Tourist Commission office over there on that backfield, and they could probably use some of that to play soccer on also, being that they took 2 soccer fields in Raceland, one of the board members. I mean, they got a lot of cleaning up needs to be done over there, because I rode out there before I came here. But if they could level that dirt off, dress it up a little more, then they could probably practice and play soccer right there also.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Araby, Mr. President. With that said, we are still on item 39. So we'll move that one to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Adams. Item 40, resolution approving an agreement between the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, Department of Homeland Security, DHS, and Lafourche Parish government for use of the Matthews Government Complex as a disaster recovery center, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Araby will move on behalf of the administration. Can I get a second by Mr. Melvin? Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence. That absence being Councilman Adams. Item 41, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Lafourche Parish School Board and Lafourche Parish government for debris dumping, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Wendell will move on my behalf of the administration. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? Mr. President.
So we take all of the school board's debris as part of the cleanup process. This is just an agreement so they can dump it at one of our DMS sites based on where we're picking it up.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. President. Any further discussion?
That's
Mr.
on
Lorraine.
Highway 90, huh? That's on Highway 90?
Yeah.
So anybody from the parish is allowed to go dump there?
No.
No?
That's why we've gotten a bunch of calls about that, whether it's contractors talking about shingles coming off of roofs.
Yeah.
Whether it's people who want to haul their own trees. It gets real tricky when they try to come into one of those debris sites because the monitors are there monitoring the actual truck traffic that comes in and out. One, it's not safe, I don't think, for the average Joe to go in there. And two, it screws with the debris monitor guys. So we just tell everybody to put it at the road and we'll pick it up eventually. We've also had like I said, with contractors calling about shingles. As much as I would love to pick up every shingle off of every house that's being done right now, first of all, I don't think we got the money to pay for that. So we've told contractors, if you can get a dumpster, but you're responsible for hauling that stuff off. In an average day, we wouldn't take shingles from a contractor replacing your roof, right? Nor should the parish be responsible when your insurance is paying for a new roof for the parish to have to burden that cost to pick up shingles from, 15,000 roofs that are going to need to be replaced across the parish. So contractors are still responsible for picking their own stuff up.
But what about if somebody does their own work?
Then we ask you just put it by the side of the road and we'll get it as part of the typical
Because you
debris
got a lot of
process.
people get 2, 3 guys and they do it themselves.
Yeah.
And I can understand a contractor, but I don't think right now you can't even buy a dumpster.
Yeah, I was able to easily get dumpsters out of Morgan City. Mr. Groh.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up at the end of the meeting, but, I guess asking for a friend here. Most of my constituents have been really appreciative of everything we've put out in transparency, and they feel sorry for people that are less fortunate up and down the parish. But now they get into when's my garbage getting picked up? When is this coming out of my yard? They came next door, and I dealt with this in the city of Thibodeau. They came, and then they were supposed to come 2 days later, and they came a week later, but they came. I was happy it was done. Is there any science to this? Is there any method as to where they're picking up in all parts of the parish? Or I just say, look, give me your address, and I'll turn it in, because I don't have anything else to really tell them.
So,
President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would say don't waste your time with turning in an address, because it's not. In the very beginning, these guys, and we...
Welcome, Mr. Adams. So please, I'm sorry, Mr. President, but so at $1,800, Mr. Adams has entered the chambers. Continue, please.
Yeah, so in the very beginning, we called them out because they were hopping to the easy piles, right? Because these guys get paid by the load. They want to sit on one pile and pack out the truck instead of hopping for 6 or 7 blocks and picking little piles up. What they've begun to do is run neighborhood by neighborhood. It helps us out because then, and Dylan's going to talk about this in his presentation, is then we can follow that debris contractor and sweep ditches, blow out culverts, make sure that we still provide some type of positive drainage to these neighborhoods. So there is really no science. I think there's a little bit more of a science now. I can share with you guys, and I think we might have done it already, or maybe it was the old version, but they created a GIS software so we can see in real time where they're picking up. They've done a pretty good clip from Highway 90 going south. I know they hit Golden Meadow pretty hard, Daniel, and they're working their way. There's still a lot. Look, and I'm going to touch on this too. There's 1.5 million cubic yards of debris on the ground with more coming, right? This is not going to be a very fast process. We had, for Zeta, we only had about 200,000 yards of debris, and that took us from mid-October to Thanksgiving, or right after Thanksgiving. This is going to take us till Christmas, if not into next year. pick up all of this stuff. Especially in a situation where the first pass might have been just debris pickup, with, you know, tree limbs and stuff. And then I always use Mitch as an example, right? Mitch threw a little pile of stuff by the road. Well, now he's got to gut his house, right? So now he's got sheetrock and ceiling tiles and everything else on the side of the road for the second pass. So it's going to exponentially increase as people gut their homes, adjusters have come, they start to clean stuff up. So it's going to be a little bit, but before they get it all picked up, we're probably at, I know Dylan just told me, probably 350,000 cubic yards out of 1.5 million. So and that's a month. So it's gonna take them a hot minute to pick it up, as we work through issues with, you know, gutting and things like that. So no, there's really no, I got no good way to tell you, and I get messages all day long, when can I expect this stuff to be picked up? And I don't have a good answer other than be patient.
Right. The answer was no, you mean?
That's right.
That's a long way to get to no.
I got an answer.
Mr. Lorraine, go ahead.
I got an answer for you when they ask you. Tell them soon. That's what I used to tell them for the streets, because the engineer would tell you they're going to do it in 2 weeks and it'd be 2 months. So I just started telling them soon. But I know it's going to take time. The problem, some of the calls I'm getting is that some of these contractors are telling these people down the street that they have to bring the stuff to the highway. And that's a parish street, and the garbage man goes down there and picks up the garbage. So why can't they pick up the trash there? And I don't think that's right. Telling them to bring it to the highway, that ain't right.
So we were telling them in the beginning, if the trash truck couldn't get there, they should put their residential garbage to the highway.
Right.
But that was when we had 300 something streets that River Birch couldn't get down. Now we're down to, I think, 10.
But you got to get some smaller trucks, because those streets down there are not like the streets
so
further up.
The debris guys are starting to bring in smaller trucks that the big grapple trucks can't get to. So they've been bringing in smaller cubic yardage trucks that they're picking up with either excavators or skid steers. So they don't have to bring their big debris stuff to the highway. That was only when the River Birch trucks couldn't get to them. We asked them if they could get it to the highway, they could be serviced from the highway. That way they didn't have to wait 3 weeks for them to try to get there.
So on the highways, DOTD picking up?
That's right, and that's the other big thing.
And then down the streets is the parish contract.
If you're on a state route, LA1, 308, 3235, 307, 304, that's going to be DOTD. So I really don't have a good answer for you on that one, because I don't know what their pattern, timetable, anything.
Well, some of these contractors, they could get away with a lot of stuff if you don't stay on them.
Yeah. And we meet with them twice a week.
I had the same problem at my house. They didn't pick up mine. They picked everybody else but mine. So the guy come out there, I said, well, what's the deal? He said, the wire's in the way. Next morning he come back, they picked it up with a smaller truck. I said, well, the wire never moved. It's still there. And they picked it up. So you got to watch them. You got to stay on them. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Lorraine. No further discussion. We'll move this one to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Okay, am I skipping? Is that it? Last resolution? All right, just want to make sure. The way it's back in front, I want to make sure I'm not missing nothing. Item N, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, or Manager reports, presentations, and/or updates. Item 42, Department of Public Works Representative to present a report. Dylan, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so this isn't going to be a typical report. You can see we titled it Hurricane Ida Recovery. This is our efforts to try to get everybody back online and get back to the best sense of normalcy and taking care of our infrastructure. With that, we'll go ahead and get started. I have organized it by district. Most of our guys are kind of in fire drill mode, so we don't have a lot of pictures. They did a lot more than what I'm going to show you here. Excuse me. This is just a quick snapshot of some of the stuff we took care of. Starting in District 1, Layton Pump Station removed debris from the trash screens. In District 2, Highway 20 installed driveway to replace transformers. This is something that y'all might not realize. We do a little extra around storm. This was to get well over 200 houses online and install these transformers in. These contractors come in, they don't have the ability to do some of this stuff. So we assist and bill after the fact. But this is one of those instances where we do a little bit more than just cleaning debris and opening ditches. Highway 631, drainage ditch, remove fallen tree from the ditch. Choctaw Road, remove fallen trees from the roadway. 6th Ward Levee Canal, remove fallen trees from drainage canal. The Benoit Outfall, remove fallen tree from outfall. Moving to District 3, Abear Ditch, remove debris from ditch. Sewer Plant Road, remove debris from ditch. Parish Line Ditch, remove debris from the ditch. Moving to District 4, this is a thoroughbred pump canal, remove fallen tree. And also remove debris from the canal. Crossing North Outfall, remove debris from the outfall. Moving to District 5, Crest Pump Reservoir, remove shed from the reservoir. St. Marie Drive, cleared road of down tree. Central Street, same thing, cleared road of down tree. Martinez Road, outfall, remove shed from outfall. Mia Drive, outfall, remove debris from the outfall. Bobcat Lane, replace driveway culvert damaged by utility company. Moving to District 6, North Leon outfall, cleared debris from outfall. Natural gas pump station, installed portable pumps. Moving to District 7, Eunice Alamo pump station, installed portable pump. It skipped a whole bunch of them, Robbie. I'll just keep going. District 8, East 23rd outfall, remove debris from outfall. East 55th Street, remove debris from ditch. West 11th Street outfall, remove debris from ditch. West 11th Street North outfall, remove debris from outfall. East 53rd Street, remove debris from roadside ditches. Moving to District 9, West 121st Street, remove debris from roadside ditches. Battle outfall, remove debris from outfall. West 199th Street, remove debris from road. And the ones that skipped was District 7. It was the Chester Lee, Gemini, and Buchanan Street. It was the removing the mud. And as of today, we've removed 1,295 tons of mud from that specific subdivision, and that's only in a vac truck. That's not what we were able to put in dump trucks. So well over that estimate, probably well over 2,000 tons of material moved from that site. Also have another little update I typed up right here. This is going to be very similar to the email I sent to you all about 2 weeks ago, just giving you an idea of what our plan was and how we tackled it. Oh, here we go. District 7 popped up if y'all want to see some of the images there. Yeah, just run through them real quick, Robbie, if you can.
And then every time it rains, it goes right back.
Yeah, so you see we started installing silt fence to try to help that. And look, we can combat a half-inch of rain. Anything more than that, it's a losing battle.
The other part is every time utility companies, everybody wants electricity. Well, utility companies set up on the road, these trucks can't back all the way down them. So that caused a lot of interruption, but it's been a rough process.
Yeah, look, this has been a very rough process, and contrary to popular belief, we have been down there since the beginning of this thing. Since landfall, essentially, we've been there. And, you know, every time it's a game changer. Every time something like Chairman Otan said, the energy trucks come in, and we have to figure out a new way to get up and down these streets. These streets aren't that big. And unfortunately, we're destroying the road and trying to get this mud out, but it's all part of the process. I mean, every time we start to get some headway, there's a curveball thrown at us. We caught the tropical storm Nicholas right after and dumped a few inches of rain in this community, and we lost all of our headway that we had for about 8 days. So it's been a battle. We didn't lose it by any means, but it's been tough, and we're trying to just react every time something pops off. And once we found a good process and we started moving, we went from 2 trucks and 2 excavators to 4 excavators and 8 vac trucks. So once we got a rhythm and started moving and caught some dry weather, we really amped it up to get in there. Thank God we had these contractors who are willing to work with us and help us out.
I'll also mention this. So this is the lower elevation. You can see most of these houses are up off the ground because this is the lower elevation. So that's why we have, this whole permit and program about elevation, et cetera. So while it's not fortunate that there's mud there, you can see most of these homes are elevated. Had they not been, they would be filled, those walls would be filled with mud.
We're hoping to be finished by Thursday or Friday with the majority of it. I mean, look, we'll still have some cleanup over the months to come, but for the majority of the ditch will be restored or better than what it was prior to. It's got to harden up where we can start to get in a truck. Obviously, we fighting the battle of paying for these vac trucks versus getting these residents whole. We are working towards it. We're not done yet. We're hoping, like, our tonnage went down a lot today because we're working on a lot of subsurface drainage. And as you get closer towards the bridge where the flooding, I guess, kind of started, there's a lot of subsurface drainage in that area. So it is a slower process, but we're hoping to be Thursday or Friday to be out of there.
Here's about a third, maybe a third of the entire area right there, because it's only the lower side.
Correct.
Just quick, do y'all have any idea what kind of cost this is gonna end up being with the vac trucks and stuff?
Yeah,
I've heard some numbers thrown out, and I'm just, wow.
Yeah, we're paying per ton. It's gonna be well over $1 million in the tonnage just on the vac truck portion. That's not counting the excavators and our own fuel and work on the process. I mean, you could venture to say this whole thing will end up being $1.9 million by the time it's all said and done.
Wow. Mr. Lorraine?
Is that mud being tested for contamination?
No, sir.
Actually, Mr. President, you have something to say?
Yeah, so DEQ's actually been out there 3 separate times, and they have made the determination that none of this is toxic.
DEQ?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my God.
Or you could do the stick test.
Yep. Mr. Adams?
All right, I seen y'all cleaning out ditches and stuff. I've been getting calls for canals. That is the Lafourche Levy District, correct?
So we are working with Lafourche Levy District on that. Lafourche Levy District went out with an RFP to have contractors go and clean the levee and the canal. We are cleaning the canal in some instances where it's actually blocking drainage. We are getting up there and doing it. David has assessed all of the levees and canals in his area. He is working to those pump stations to make sure we have proper drainage at the pump station, and the pump station meeting capacity. So
cool.
Kind of, I guess, is a better answer for that. Where
Yes.
needed, yes.
Yes, and National Guard did a lot of work too on
Yeah,
these levees, clearing these levees.
I'll go through that real quick if everybody gives me a half a second. So I sent this email out about 2 weeks ago. I'm just going to recap real briefly on that in case somebody didn't get the chance to read it and so the public can hear it, whoever's watching. But our first order of business was to clean major roads and make them passable. That's completed. Then we cleared all pump station roads for fuel delivery and cleaned trash screens for adequate pumping capacity to make sure these things were operable, running, and we could get fuel to them. That was the second order of business. Third, we moved down and cleaned all parish streets and make them passable for EMS, fire service, utility companies. That way, when all of this stuff started to come back online, it was available. To date, everything is clear with the exception of a few low-hanging lines. Archie talked about that. We're working with the garbage service and the utility companies to render any of those issues. I know it was a little bit hectic about 2-3 weeks ago, but it is getting a lot better. We swept all parish outfalls of storm debris. We are about 85% complete on that. The National Guard was a huge help. They sent around 80 soldiers in, and they helped us for right around 3.5 weeks. They moved on last Thursday to go to another mission, but they helped us. They sent 7 excavators and 13 skid steers, and they helped us tremendously, especially in the District 7, 8, and 9 area where we were hardest hit. So big thanks to those guys. If you know of any debris and outfalls that we have missed, please let me know so we can get it addressed. I'm not going to tell you that we caught every single outfall and every single tree in every outfall. That's probably impossible. So if you got them, send them to me. We'll take care of them as we get to. The fifth order of business was, and what we're currently doing now, we're cleaning roadside ditches. As Archie kind of mentioned, we are following the debris contractor. We've talked to the debris contractor and tried to get them in a strategic pattern where they're picking zones and moving from north to south in those zones so we can have contractors and our own personnel follow them to clean these roadside ditches. When I tell you we're cleaning the roadside ditches, we're simply removing them from debris, taking the ruts out of them, we're restoring them to as they were before. We don't have time to do one calls and sweep them to grade and all of that stuff. It's a fire drill. We're trying to get it done, get it out of the way, and at least provide the residents with the drainage they had prior to. Again, we're going to miss some. Please let me know and we'll take care of it. I'm banking, we're about 20-25% complete on that, but it's solely dependent on the debris contractor. They aren't moving as fast as we'd like to. As Archie stated, we have meetings with them 2 to 3 times weekly. That's something we plan to bring up tomorrow to where as we start to pull off of these hard-hit areas like Chesapeake and Gemini, and I'm starting to free up our contractors and free up our guys, we want to move quicker down the line. The next thing we did, we already completed the inspection, and we've already ordered all of the street signs for parish roads. We had a guy from every field office go and write down everything, and at least a stop sign, a street sign, speed limit, anything we could find on that street that we knew was missing, we wrote down and we ordered it. We are going to have missed some. Let me know if you know of those things, if you know specific ordinances that you've passed, speed limit signs, children at play signs. Let me know those things. We may have missed some. I will say stop signs and street signs are our first priority. We're going to start installing them as soon as they come in. So stop signs and street signs, first priority for safety, 911 service, and delivery. All these people lost a lot of stuff. They're going to start getting deliveries to their house, so we're going to make sure that's all in line. After that, we're going to go back and transition into speed limit sign, children at play, hazard markers, etc. So there again, if you see anything missing, bear with us, give us some time. We'll take care of it as soon as I know what's missing. The last and final thing we're going to do through all of this before we get back to our normal operations, blow out any culverts where blockages are present. Unfortunately, we don't know where they are yet. They're going to continue to pop up as we continue to clean debris. That's where I'm going to need the council and the residents to self-report a lot of this stuff. Let me know where there's blockages. We'll get to them as soon as we can. At least put eyes on them so we know where they are, know the address, and we'll take care of it. And in closing, I just want to say that we're working as quickly and efficiently as we can. You know, I can't thank our guys and gals in DPW enough. Some of them came to work within 6 hours of the storm passing, and they didn't have a place to sleep, and they showed up to work that day, you know, and they worked for 8 days straight before they even took a day off or even started working on their house. So I hope the residents understand that, and you guys understand that as well. These guys, you know, really put their necks on the line and did a good job for us. I'm going to say it again, we're working as quickly and efficiently as we can to restore the parish's infrastructure. Our infrastructure did a great job throughout this storm. I know we have a lot of damage and a lot of issues, but nothing failed. And I can't stress that enough, nothing failed. It's wounded. It's going to take 5 to 10 years of continuous work to replace this. So I'm hopeful. I think hopefully we get some funding from the federal government. Hopefully we get to rebuild this infrastructure better than what it was. But just keep in mind that nothing failed. The people before us did a really good job at building this, you know, and I'm talking 10 to 50 years ago. Inspections were conducted on a DPW standpoint of all of LPG's 37 bridges, both fixed and movable bridges. I have that here if anybody wants to see it. I have a hard copy in my office. Electronically, it's too big to send, but if anybody wants to stop and look at it or check on anything, I have it. We also did 84 pump stations. So what I have here, y'all can stop and look at it this afternoon or look at any point. We have replacement costs, repair costs, everything ironed out, what's wrong with it, what's missing, if the pump station's there or not. We had 6 engines or pumps fail. We have 2 that are completely gone, but out of 168, it's not too bad. We have a lot of pump station houses that are missing, but most of them are still pumping water. Yeah, these reports were very detailed and took a long time, but I think it's going to be imperative as we rebuild. FEMA's going to see the stuff. The Corps is already asking for it, so we have it all on there and ready for them to go. Hopefully when funding starts trickling down, they use this stuff. And other than that, I am done. If anybody has any questions.
All right, thank you. Ms. Chesson.
Yes, first I do want to commend Dylan and all of our DPW crews. Like he said, I know they were out there when their own homes were gone, damaged, and they were out there working for the parish. So when I hear people talking about what they do or don't do, it's upsetting because I know what they were out there doing when we were still under storm watch and bad weather. Second, the East Side project for the 20 ARPAN. Where are we at on that?
So I apologize. I don't know the exact notice to proceed date, but we did give them the ability to back up the notice to proceed for 30 days due to hurricane. We want to allow all the utility companies to come in, do what they need to do, and get out of the way. We should be creeping up on about 15 days away. We're going to issue that notice to proceed on the 30th day. So as it'll be a 30-day window from the initial notice to proceed, we'll start it then.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Lorraine.
Yes, this might not be your department, but I think it's a safety issue. Street lights. On the highway, usually when we put one, we got to go to the engineer and get this put on. But all the ones that were there prior to the storm, you shouldn't have to go to an engineer and get it done. You should be able, I'm sure he's got a record of all those street lights because there's a bunch of them missing. I was still in the process of trying to get the covers put on lights from the previous storm that I never could catch up. Now, most of the lights are gone because when these utility guys come, they fix the wiring and all, but they don't fool with a street light. Even though the street light by my house is on the ground, they're not going to put it up. And there's very few lights. And on that highway, there are very few lights. And they got a lot of thieves. So I guess it's going to take, it might be funny, but it's going to take a year to get these lights back.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I know it might not be your department, it's Gazette.
No, we can have that conversation. I mean, obviously, it's not the
But you can let
lineman's,
them know.
it's not the lineman's priority to put that up. They want to get power. so
No,
everybody,
they
but-
don't, they're not gonna put them up,
Yeah, I
yo.
understand.
And I'm telling you,
We'll have those discussions.
when you have a light and it's gone, you really notice it.
Yep.
But
one's
there's a
missing it
lot
from
of
my
lights
house.
on that
I notice
highway
it.
that are gone. I was looking for the covers, now I'm looking for the lights. So that's gonna take probably a good year to really fix everybody back.
They'll have, at least they got those Ts though to put them back up. There's got a lot of Ts. Right? No, I had this discussion with Archie earlier too about, because like you said, there are no more lights. And my concern was, are we being charged as a parish? Because, you know, we pay a pretty nice penny for those lights. The parish does.
Yeah, we got a millage for that.
Yeah. But he's talking about safety, so I will point out, I thank you for making a priority getting those street signs up. I'd also encourage residents to note their residence number somewhere. From the emergency responder side, it's been very challenging to find locations of houses because there's no mailboxes, no street signs, and we have no service to use GPS. So that still exists to date. It's still, the service is horrible. So we are struggling to find locations. So, yeah, if you have a way to mark your house with your address, please do, at least for the foreseeable future. Mr. Araby.
Mr. Dillon, I personally want to commend you and your staff for a job well done for this Lady Ida. You guys was out there, ladies, and everybody on your staff was out there giving their time and going beyond the call of duty, day in and day out, night time, everything else. They did a great job, man, and I want to thank y'all very much for that.
Yep, thank you. I'll pass it on to them.
But also, now that we got some new equipment, I see parked at one of the barns. I'm hoping that when we get back to normal that you can get some of the outfall canals I've been speaking to you about since I've been a councilman, because I haven't seen anything done yet.
Yes, sir.
It's always a right-of-way issue, and I think we got all that straight now, hopefully. So maybe we can start getting some of these outfalls done. And one other thing, what is the latest on the Gaines levy that fell in a little bit? You know anything about that?
The Gaines levy that fell in on, like, south of Jesse Dufresne Pump Station?
Right.
I'll pass that along to the Lafourche Levy District. They made contact with the resident that you had forwarded to me, and I'll let them handle it. So I have not followed up on it.
Okay. I was just wondering, because it's still in the same shape it was in, so, yeah. But they survived the storm, so hopefully we can get it straightened out. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of private levies that failed, that have issues to date. Mr. Melvin.
Yeah, Dylan, thanks again for all y'all doing. I know it's been trying, and every time you think you've accomplished a lot, you look around and there's another pile or something to be done. A couple of quick questions. On the thoroughbred supercharged pump, I know for years we've had some challenges getting on that property with the landowner on supercharge. Now, we've been walking in from thoroughbred, and the house is owned by the bank. I said it last administration, I'm begging this one. Let's try to get a row established with the bank. That way we can have access from thoroughbred, because there's a tree. I don't know if that's the tree y'all pictured that was taken out of the outfall, but there is an outfall, some trees in outfall in between thoroughbred and supercharge. And God bless him, the man's a little cantankerous, whatever. I don't know what made him mad years ago before our time, but he don't want to let us on his property. And that's a challenge, because we're talking about flooding other houses if we can't get to those canals and those outfalls. So please look into that. You know, it's the last house on the left on thoroughbred, okay?
So just to give you an update on that, we did contact the landowner, and he did allow us to go on the property.
Okay, thank God, because I know sometimes the people from the neighborhood's calling me, and then I hear that they call the parish said we can't go because he won't let us, so.
In times like this, he usually works with us.
Well, that's fine, and look, I have no problem with him, but I just know that there's been some challenges.
Sure.
Also, I know that low-hanging cable wires, not only, we're all getting calls and seeing Facebook about cable this, cable that, but there's some low wires. I can send you all the streets, but what do we do for low wires that are cable and not electrical?
So if you can give me the name, if there's a name anywhere on it that we can contact that person, if anybody knows who their service provider is there.
Yeah. I mean, I can give you a name. I'll give you some street names, because it's like.
Well, no, I need street names. Is it Cox? Is it Charter? Who to contact?
I'll find out.
You know, a lot of times, a lot of these energy companies who are passing through, they'll tie them up just to get them out of the way.
Yeah,
are they preventing any service?
Well, it's hanging, and they're scared about hitting it.
Right, but I mean, is it preventing garbage service?
Yes, it's preventing garbage service,
okay.
yes.
Okay, yeah,
Also,
send me the street and send me any info you have on the line.
Okay, I'll do that. And I just wanted to be sure and thank Solid Waste, Jerome, Chris, especially Mark Gazette, because he, even though he's works in garbage, he was keeping all the generators running on Bayou Vista for the, sewer station. I mean, just a really big help. And so, but thank everybody who, I know it's been trying for a lot more than it's for others and some, but it's just a challenge.
Yeah, thanks for recognizing those guys. They kind of go unseen, but they definitely kept all our sewers running and all our generators running at most facilities, so.
Mr. Grove?
Same, to echo their comments about thanking people. And I'm sorry I had to step out, you may have answered this. What about people that lost their garbage cans?
So they can
Did y'all put
contact,
something out?
we got a number in solid waste for them to contact. It's a long list, but
Okay.
they'll put you on the list and get you one.
So if we get the request, just send it to Solid Waste?
I tell you
Or
what,
should
send me an email reminder that, I'll get the contact number for you tomorrow.
Okay, put that, all right, but we need to put that out too.
I think they did already.
All right, again, all right, thank you.
Yeah, Dylan, I'll just reiterate, I was here at the EOC pretty much 3-4 times every day for probably 3 weeks, and I watched y'all trying to send employees to 3 different locations all at the same time, trying to spread everybody thin, so trying, difficult, thank you, and I want to thank you for offering, your own personal property to assist people in gold and metal like you did, so I think that was very honorable of you to do that, so thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Dylan.
Thank y'all.
Item 43, Finance Representative to present the monthly financial report as required by the state agreed upon procedures for August 2021. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You guys should have all gotten a copy of the monthly financials. I think October is our quarterly report at the end of the month, so we'll do the sales tax figures in the PowerPoint then.
Thank you for that, Mr. President. So with that said, I'll move to item O, discussion. I'll allow everyone to say their last comments or bring up anything for the administration. Mr. Lorraine.
I just want to thank all the employees at this time, first responders. The administration basically kept us up on email, but in the past, when we had a hurricane or whatever, permits were exempt. Are they still going to be exempt?
Mr. President.
So we waive the permit fee.
Whatever.
Yeah, we waive the permit fees. We're still asking you to come in and get an actual permit
Right.
so we can do inspections, especially if it's electrical.
They got a call.
That's
or
right.
Come in.
Yeah, but we waive the
And
fees.
you waive the fee.
Yes, sir.
Same way like if a house would burn down, the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Number 2. Well, we talked about the trash, so I'm not going to repeat that. I know when hurricanes come, most of the administrations that I have worked with have done a pretty good job. It's after the fact, after the hurricane. That's where the problems come in. I tried to get a stage, and I was told, well, we got one in Golometa, you got one in La Rose. But what about the people of Galliana and Cutoff? So you know what? I, along with Kevin Sheremy, the caretaker of the veterans, got with the veterans, asked them if we could use the facility, which is a great facility because it's a one road way in and it's a 2-way out. I don't think you're going to find that too many places in the parish. So we were allowed to use the veterans. And we took the bull by the horns. And today we served, I don't know how many meals. We've been working for almost a whole month. We're taking tomorrow off and we're getting back at it Thursday. But we got the veterans stationed there. We got the Golometa Rotary Club stationed there. We got the Cajun Navy stationed there. And we got the Red Cross. Believe it or not, I've been in contact with the Red Cross, one of the bosses from New York, Phil. Then I switched to a guy from North Carolina, Gentry. He went off today. And now I'm talking to some lady, Tammy Lee, I believe. I spoke to her this morning. I will meet her soon. They have been great. In fact, we are housing 40 people from the Cajun Navy at the VFW in La Rose. The Red Cross brought us 40 cots. Okay? So that's being done. And we all get to the Veterans Memorial District and they present supplies, food. A lot of times we run out, can't cook enough. And there's a lot of organizations that have supplied food throughout the whole parish. And y'all can't imagine how many donations we get from all over the United States. Another thing I want to say, the mayor of Golometa has done a great job with his council in operating that part. And the mayor of Lockport has done a great job of doing what he did in Lockport. And a lot of the supplies that were left, they brought to the veterans in Grand Isle. And if we have anything left, we are going to bring it to Grand Isle. And so it has worked out real good. And like I said, sometimes you got to do it yourself. It's good to have some help, but sometimes you got to push the issue. And that's what I did, because I just felt the people of that area had to either go to Golometa or LaRose. Some of the other areas were closer. So that's what we did. I didn't do it by myself. I had a lot of help to do it. And let me tell you, the Cajun Navy is something. They can get you some groceries. Yesterday we had a truck that was delivered to us from the grocery stores of Texas, K-R-O-G-R, Kroger. They have a lot of Kroger stores over there, and they brought us unbelievable. And I also want to say, we were in a bind for ice, and the district attorney called me, very concerned, which I appreciated, and she located some ice for us from St. Bernard. It might not have got to us, but it got down there somewhere, because there was some ice dropped off in front of the campus police and then the Hope Center, and then we got some ice for today and tomorrow from somebody from a Rotarian from Lafayette somewhere. So people are still asking for ice, but not as much, because most of the power is going back on. But let me tell you, that's a lot of work. It ain't easy. I know Armin's a fireman, and usually this goes on for what, 7, 8 days if you're lucky. This thing's been going on for a month, a whole month. And I'm going to stop by saying I want to thank all the people that cooked. There's many organizations, many women, many churches. I hate to name them because I'm going to leave somebody out. But I want to thank everybody that was involved. Workers, administration, councilmen, whatever, people, other elected officials. And hopefully we're going to move on. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Ms. Shessel.
Yeah, like Mr. Lorraine said, we had a lot of people down in our area that really stepped up, and I do want to acknowledge them really quick. Chad and Trixie Boudreaux with Joe Septic got involved with Father Greg at Sacred Heart, and we had donations coming in from all over. Trixie coordinated all of that because we at the Cutoff Youth Center couldn't handle it. We had too much damage going on in our area. So she did all that, and they had people coming in and cooking. There was meals basically every day happening down there. The DA's office for sending in some supplies. Mr. Bo Melvin and St. Francis and over here sent some supplies down. Also, Jure Jean-Bonjaro and Brennan Mathern with Bless Your Heart. They were in LaRose at the pod in LaRose. Had so many donations going through there as well. We had a lot of people come in helping us take care of our people. And even though they were damaged themselves, their homes, their families' homes, they were still out there in that heat, making sure the people got what they needed. And I can't thank them enough for making sure our people were okay and that we were going to get through this together. So with that being said, thank y'all.
Thank you, Ms. Shessel. Mr. Araby.
I just want to thank the parish president, his administration, and our EOC Center for the job that they did, and all the other employees of the Lafourche Parish government. I also want to thank all the volunteers, our fire departments, all the state, federal employees that came down here to assist us also. Just look around, we got people all over the place trying to help this community out. It was a rough time, but as everybody said, we Lafourche strong and we're going to get through it. So again, thank everyone that came out to help Lafourche Parish. Thank y'all.
Mr. Melvin?
Yes, again, I'd just like to thank the administration, especially the DA's office. Lisa had called me and, you know, had some good things for us, and so I thought we were pretty good. We, you know, directed it to Delin, and I also had a call that was a little troubling. I don't know if y'all had a call quite like this one, but in Thibodaux, Red Cross was there. They had a church organization go to bring some food, and Red Cross wouldn't let them feed the people. That's troubling when you bring in food and it's not Red Cross certified. I have a problem with that. Now, I know that Red Cross does some good things, but we know most of the time our people cook good food, and people were hungry and hadn't eaten in a long time at the shelter. So
I'll tell you, Bo, that National Guard was the same way. You cannot, if they're set up for a certain job, they won't let anyone else because they take on their liability. So not only Red Cross, but National Guard is the same story.
The National Guard person there let these people eat the food, though, because he saw how hungry they were.
I wouldn't say that on record.
Well, I mean,
that's prohibited. It's a prohibited act. But
well, I don't care. So is starvation.
Even if it's on private property, it's prohibited.
So is starvation.
I fought the same battle. That's why I'm saying that. Go ahead, Mike. You got anything?
Yeah, I just kind of echo everybody's comments, just to thank the administration. If they didn't have the answer, they took the call and said, I'll get it back to you in the day, whatever, and it came through. And along the lines, I can't thank everybody that helped in our parish, but the thing that I really enjoyed seeing was the amount of kids helping too, you know. So not only like college kids younger than that, which is you training people for the future and know that we're going to be Lafourche strong for a long time. So I want to thank the parents for bringing their kids along, letting them see less fortunate people and what it's like to help people out. Thank you.
Mr. Wendell.
I would like to personally thank the parish administration as well. When I say parish administration, that goes into OEP, Public Works, IT, communication, project managers. I spent several days, a couple times a day on and off at this building at the EOC, and everybody was doing something. Might not have been their job, but everybody pitched in. They assisted me in borrowing vehicles, getting supplies to areas that didn't have supplies. The days following that, it was constant phone calls from everyone. What do you need? Do you need this? Do you need that? Very supportive. I want to thank you because you lent me a fire department trailer to get supplies when we had nothing before our pod areas were set up. The barn workers did an excellent job. The fire department helped us set up a temporary pod till our pod was up and running. They distributed food, did rescue, did house tarping for elderly and handicapped people, coordinated outside agencies, removed all the debris so emergency vehicles could get through. Those guys did a bang-up job probably for about 2 weeks after with handling pod issues. The Bayou Blue Fire Department also lent me a truck and trailer to get supplies down to Pointe-aux-Chenes, which was hard to reach. So I want to really thank those guys for that. Bayou Cane Fire Department sent a ladder truck to assist me in cutting trees off of the state highway that were broken and hanging and, you know, could fall down on cars at any time. So, you know, everybody really stepped up. Sheriff Weber, the law enforcement community that we have here in Lafourche, the outside agencies that came in, those guys were super supportive. You could tell they were stressed, but they always assisted with directing traffic or providing security, whatever was needed. Miss Lisa, the DA, Christine Russell, those guys were on the phone. You know, I received several phone calls a week from them. What do your people need? This is what we have. Are you in need of these things in your area? Super, super supportive. Everybody came together and truly worked as a team. I also want to thank Terrebonne Parish government who sent some supplies as well. And being that the 28 miles of my district, one side of the road's Terrebonne, one side's Lafourche, when we have something like this, we really don't, what parish are you from? Oh, you can't get that because you don't live here. We all came together. I was getting supplies from Lafourche, getting supplies from Terrebonne. Everybody's needs were met. The fire department went out there distributing because we had areas that you couldn't get in and out of. The barn went out there to try to get those areas accessible. Parish insurance carrier came through with some truckloads of stuff, and all the outside agencies, National Guard, if you came in and helped us, we definitely appreciate it. We had several federal agencies, several state agencies, a lot of faith-based group, churches, nonprofits that just came in and gave all. And not just once. They call every 2 or 3 days once communications were established and kept coming, and that goes a long way. I'd also like to thank the residents because they were very supportive throughout this time. They were assisting neighbors. They came together as communities, as neighborhoods, and helped each other. I commandeered quite a few things along the way, and everybody was really understanding and really, offering to help. So I think we all came together and worked good. I spent a lot of time here. I spent some time with some of the people sitting around this counter here, and everybody came together and really worked, considering what we were up against and what we were facing. So for anybody that had a hand in it, appreciate it. Couldn't have done it without you. And that's coming from a guy who's homeless, so I speak very humbly.
Thank you, Jim. Mr. Adams?
Yeah, I would just want to, I'll be short and sweet. I want to thank all the residents in my district who helped each other out. The fire department's there, helped all the residents. And thank you for letting me borrow that truck that day so I can go bring her some tarps.
Anytime.
All right, that's it.
Mr. Jones?
Yes, I'd like to thank the administration for a job well done. I've been on this council for a number of years and seen a lot of storms, but this was one of the worst storms that ever hit Lafourche Parish. And I can say to you, Archie, a job well done. You stood up, you ground, and you led this parish in the right direction, along with your administration. I'd like to thank a lot of people that came in from out of town, all over from Red Cross, and really contribute to this parish. Did a lot for the people that lives here. I also like to thank my friend Calvin Cook for doing a lot of gathering with the city marshals and Miss Constant for all of her contributions and getting people together. But I'd like to personally thank, and this might seem odd, Archie, but you open up the fields for a lot to come to this parish. I'd like to personally thank Bunnell Talbot for coming together with me and serving the people in District 1, District 2, District 3, and all the way down to Lockport and Reader community. So if he's listening, I'm personally thank you, and I did some good in the parish because it brought a lot of people together, and hopefully it would continue. So again, administration, thank you and keep the good work up.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. President?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I get a lot of the attaboys, but it's the folks sitting behind me and the guys out in the field that really made this thing come through. And I want to personally thank Robbie, Mitch, Dylan, Renita, Savanier, because there was a moment, and I don't mind saying this on camera. There was a moment that Friday afternoon when the Weather Service called me before that 4 o'clock weather update and told me this thing was going to be a Category 4 with a 5 not out of the realm of possibility. And I walked in that back storehouse and I cried like a 5-year-old schoolgirl because I didn't know how the hell we were going to keep the people safe in this parish anymore. And that is the most hopeless feeling. I know a lot of you know it from leadership positions in the past. When you know you don't know how you're going to keep your people safe, you don't know how it's going to do that. The support system around this has been great, whether it's been Chris or Eric in OEP, the guys in the field, Brooke and the Head Start staff, Amanda at Community Action who ran the shelter. I mean, you talk about a group that was lockstep. And look, the first 48 hours after this thing hit was a Chinese fire drill. We didn't know what the hell we were doing, guys. I mean, there was so much crap everywhere. To try to throw it all back together was tough. But look, we came together. You know, we cleared a path in 12 hours from Highway 9 to Fire Central. You know, we wanted to be the first ones with road opens because we knew Energy was going to be looking for the easy pickings where we could get stuff in, and we were one of the first ones to do it. We had 3 pod sites open, and GOSEP called and said, Archie, you can't open a 4th. We got to send something to Terrebonne or St. Charles because you got too many open already. The group that we had in that EOC the first couple days and every day since then has been huge. But so Dylan touched a lot of the public work stuff. You know, we continue to do building assessments. Whether it's here, I know you guys see ceiling tiles missing. If you guys walk in the back building where Dylan's office is, that stuff started to be completely gutted today. The roof rolled off the back corner of this building and dumped a tremendous amount of water in it. So we're going to be doing remediation here. The buildings in Thibodaux are all being, looked at now, and remediation started there. The one building that is concerning, and Daniel, is going to be the Galleana Government Complex. That one is, by all means of the adjusters looking at it, is going to be a total loss. We're going to have to completely gut that thing and start all over with a new roof, and then from the cement on up. That building took a substantial amount of water, the library inside of it. Most of the parish departments that are in there, whether it be community action or the outside agencies like the DA, the clerk, the assessor, the registrar of voters have all been in there to sort of get their important stuff out. But if you walk in there, the walls are fuzzy. It's not a good sight. But that one's gonna be the hardest building to get back up and running in the foreseeable future. Everything else, courts, and I'm gonna look at Lisa when I say this, courts are reopened today, right? Or tried to? Monday, the 20th, that's right, Monday. But everything downtown is gonna be mostly okay with the help of some remediation stuff. Brooke and her Head Start staff are working through the Head Start locations to try to get her kids back. I think their plan is to go back on October 4th, which is the Monday. The kids from South Lafourche are gonna be bussed up to Lockport so they can continue to educate them just in a different spot. So we're gonna make sure we get those kids up here to take care of them. We're working through all the insurance issues, and then FEMA is gonna play a huge part in this as we try to rebuild it. We talked about those damaged neighborhoods, the guys in the industrial park area in Councilman Chairman Zotan's district, the guys out in Des Allemands and Bayou Buff and T-Boo's area. Nobody expected that storm to hit with that much fury and pump that much water into these communities. Nothing failed. Everything held, which is the beautiful part. Everything just got overtopped. So, you know, when Dwayne looks at his system, when some of this federal money comes in, I think we have a perfect play to make some of this stuff happen. We talked about debris, you know, 1.5 million cubic yards on the ground. It's going to take some time to pick all that stuff up. We're somewhere between about $15–18 million worth that we're gonna work through. Luckily, Friday, the president signed an extension of 15 days on 100% cost reimbursement for not only debris pickup, but the emergency protective measures, so stuff like we're doing on Buchanan. Everything we did pre-storm, which we worked through all of our typical procedures, closed floodgates, locked down structures, had pump stations up and running, all that fun stuff, sandbags, all that stuff is going to be covered at 100% for the next 15 days, and then we shift to a 90-10 cost share. So we are working. The RFP hit the street late last night. We are going to be hiring a management consultant to come in and help us with all that FEMA PA paperwork. Similar to what you guys saw after Gustav and Ike, when we got all that money, somebody helped us work through all of that. Because of the scale, we just don't have the ability. We've done it in previous storms. We did it for Barry. We're doing it for Zeta. But because of the sheer magnitude of this, we don't have the ability to do this one in-house. So if FEMA is going to help cover that cost, it's smart of us to bring somebody in to help us work through all of that. Those RFPs are going to be due to us on Monday by 4 p.m. So I hope by the end of next week to have an agreement with somebody that we can give to you guys at the first council meeting in October to bring on board to start that process. We've already talked to the chairman about working through that with recreation districts as well as fire departments if they need some assistance, that we can tap this same consultant to kind of help them with that as they work through their own issues with trying to rebuild their infrastructure. I do want to thank the National Guard. We had 800 soldiers on the ground at one point in time. We were very fortunate, and I will call him out by name, retired Brigadier General Rodney Painting. This man, I think some of you got the chance to meet him when you were in OC, came in on the second day after the storm, sent by the governor. He was in Calcasieu last year for Laura, and this man was squared away. Was the Assistant Adjutant General for a couple of years and made working with the National Guard through some of these missions very easy. So I will forever love him for what he did for this parish over the course of 3 he was here and helping us work through this stuff. But all the nonprofits who came in, you know, Jeray, Trixie, all those guys, I mean, I can't thank them enough. I'm looking through my notes. So a couple other things. One, Ms. Charlene wanted me to mention the Council on Aging's temporary location is going to be at 238 Bowie Road. It's the old Raceland American Legion. A lot of people know it's the Rocket. So if you're looking for Ms. Charlene and her staff, they're back there just because of some of the damage we took to the building. She had some water issues on that end, so we moved her out. And then when we got that section dried in, we took all of DPW and most of planning and permitting and stuck them over there to help them work through it. FEMA does have several sites open. There's one open at the old Go Pass location on Highway 3235 in Golden Meadow. They were at Town Hall in Lockport. I think they'll be there for a couple more weeks, as well as here in the training room working through not only registering, but if you got that denial letter or you need to appeal or turn in some paperwork, they're here to help you. SBA has also opened up a couple of disaster centers for business community. On Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, they're at the South Louisiana Economic Council offices in Babington Hall at Nichols, 322 Audubon Avenue. And on Thursday and Friday, they're down. Reed and Denise Colley opened up their office at Colley Office Supply. So they're down at 14402 West Main Street in Cutoff to help any small business questions, or if you need an SBA loan, for anything, they can help you walk through that process there. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, thanks to Renita and her staff for busting butt over the weekend. You guys do have a budget binder in front of you. It is, and I think it was Mike or Bo who mentioned it, it's a lot thinner than it normally is. You guys, what's not included in there is, if you guys are used to looking at them, behind all the major funds and the projected fund balances, you would have the individual sheets with all the little notes that all the managers typed in about why prices were higher or lower. We took all of that out, for simplicity, one, but two, just to be able to get it to you guys and meet that charter obligation of having it to you by October 1st. I will say, based on what Wendy said earlier about her timeline to get tax bills out, that means tax collection is going to be backed up as well. So when we would typically get about $22 million in January and February, we probably won't get that $22 million until June or July. So that means we got to float some cash the first 6 months of the year. So I would ask, as you look through that budget, there are some pretty good projections in there. There's only one fund that's technically in the red for 2021, and that's going to be drainage. We're looking at some options to shift some other money around, even to the extent of doing what other parishes are doing right now, and looking at some sort of line of credit if we had to borrow some money for some reason, which I don't think we're going to have to do, but we're going to look at all those options just in case. The capital budget in the back, if it's even in there, I think it is the exact same version as last year. Nothing changed. So all the budget meetings that we had with you guys this summer, we did not include any of those capital projects in that budget. Just because I don't want to overinflate something, or not run the risk of not having a balanced budget because we throw like capital money in there, not knowing we were going to have any money in January. So I would ask you be patient. I'm going to give you my commitment on the record, that once that tax money starts to roll in, if Wendy exceeds her timeline, we're going to do some supplementals and put that money back in the budget. We plugged a lot of holes with the Biden money, both the $9 million you guys booked tonight and the $9 million that we plan to receive. So out of that $22 million we would typically get in January, 18 of that is taken up by the Biden money. So even a lot of the plans that we talked about internally of what we want to do with that money is going to take a back seat probably till June or July of next year, until that tax revenue starts to roll in and we realize exactly how much we're going to be less, and try to figure out how to work through those issues. So when it comes time for the budget meetings, I know everybody tends to want to throw some amendments at the wall come that second November meeting. I'm asking you not to do it, because if you do it, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm probably going to veto it, and you're going to have to override me, just because I don't want to screw up what Renita and them have worked on, knowing that once that tax money comes in June or July, we'll throw those projects back in the budget through some supplementals. So with that, Mr. Chairman, again, I appreciate all the compliments. These guys did a hell of a job for this storm, and never been prouder or more humbled to lead this group every day. Not only for the people who work for us, but the residents who stepped up in a big way to take care of our community. And there's going to be no hopefully, Daniel. We're going to put the place back together. It may take us a couple of years, but we're going to put it back together, and we're going to be better than ever. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Archie. So just final comments. As I said in the press conference, I know we were hammered by Ida. And whereas I've been part of doing in public service for over 30 years, and we've done the 300-400 plate lunches every day, and housed National Guard, for 7 to 10 days, but never have we had to do it for week after week after week. So I will tell this council and our residents that as I was here every day, several times a day at the EOC, that everybody was here. All the state agencies, everybody that needed to be here was here, and they were here throughout. And 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, I was sitting there with state police, with OEP, with the state fire marshal's office, so they were here. All the agencies were here. I'll tell you also that after action report, communication was horrendous. And that was, a lot of our problems were related to communication. That's unfortunate because the government spent a lot of money after Katrina, and even more so after Gustav, to get it right, and they didn't get it right. And still to this day, we still don't have it real right. So that was a huge impediment, and I know that we're gonna have to try to straighten that out in the future. But I want our residents to know that everybody was here, that it stood strong and was trying to delegate. And I'll go on to say to Daniel and Delenn, the first 18 wheelers that rolled in with tarps, parish president said, "No, to get them down, get something down to Golden Meadow." And that was right off the bat. First 18-wheeler that got offloaded was down in Golden Meadow. I can tell you that with confidence, as I was part of that. I'm not going to thank a whole lot of different people because I'd be here until the cows come home. What I will say is that the residents of Lafourche have left a strong impression on many of people. I had 6 personnel from North Dakota assigned to me for 2 weeks. I had Minneapolis guys assigned to me for about a week. And I'll tell you that overwhelmingly, They were stunned, amazed by the hospitality provided by people who had nothing left, and by the resiliency and the determination to do things to help their neighbors. So you just don't see that throughout this country. So for what that's worth, I'm passing on to our residents and letting them know that most people fended to themselves. They didn't wait for government to come in and help themselves or their neighbors. So kudos to our residents. I think that goes without saying that, it's just very, very good words from people from out of state. With that said, I'll now entertain a motion for adjournment for no further business. Lafourche Parish Council recommendation September 28, 2021 will be adjourned at 1900 hours. On motion by Jones and second by Mr. Wendell. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Thank y'all, gents.